Hey guys, happy Tuesday! I am so excited about this video. You have no idea. It is raining here. My hair looks like crap. I'm on my lunch break doing this for you guys. So, I'm just diving right into this. I'm actually really excited about this video because I've been doing so much research, so much reading, and I have found things that some things might absolutely take your breath away, and other things you're probably like, I've already heard about that. So anyway, let's just jump right in. My top 10 health benefits of low carb and ketogenic dieting. Now, let me just start by saying this, because I've gotten messages. What is the difference between low carb, like Atkins and things like that, and keto? Main difference. Anytime you go low carb, you think to yourself, 100 grams of carbs. You knock your carbs down to 100. That to me is low carb because in essence it is. Not many of us though can lose weight on 100 carbs per day. We have to knock it down further to about 20 grams per day. That is keto. There are plans where you get, I don't know, I'm trying to think, MetaFast and Wonder Slim, it was like 5 meals a day in a lean and green, so they're getting about 50 grams of carbs, give or take, and I lost well on that, so, you know, anything 100 grams or below I consider low carb. 100 grams, 60 grams, that to me is low carb. 20 grams or under, to me, that's keto. Alright, now that that's out there, here we go. So, let's start by saying the number one, and these are in no particular order, but it's kind of one leads into the next. So that's why I put it in this order. The number one thing as to why you would probably enjoy this lifestyle is that it kills your appetite. Not in a bad way, in a very good way. What happens when you go on a low-calorie, low-fat diet? The first thing you notice is that you're hungry. It might be psychological, psychosomatic, in the first day or two that you're not so hungry because you're like, yep, I'm doing this. But as time goes by, you know, our bodies use at least 1,500 calories a day, just resting. Our breathing, the way our organs work, we use calories for that. So when you cut your calories back to like 1,200 or below, you're in starvation mode. Point blank. You will lose weight, but it won't be sustainable. When you eat no sugar or a very low carb, you don't get hungry. And why? Because we're supplementing the sugar with fat. Our bodies, our organs are made up. So the highest percentage you can think of is fat. Our brain's almost like 95% fat. The liver, the kidneys, the intestines, everything there is made of fat. And when you kill your fat intake and you restrict your calories, guys, what happens? Yeah, you lose weight, but then your body's like, this is no good. So what happens? You get cranky, you get headachy, you get cravings, you can't sleep good at night. And I would say 100% of us on a low-fat, low-calorie diet failed it. And I'm not even going to say it was the plan because our bodies don't run like that. So when you understand how the body runs and what makes it efficient, you will burn and lose weight. Let's see. Studies do show that when lowering carbs to enter ketosis and you eat more fat and protein, you eat less calories. It might sound counterintuitive, but that's how it works. You're not eating all that sugar, and sugar makes you crave sugar, and then you eat more, and you eat more. Now you feel guilty. Shit, I'm going to eat more now because I already blew it. How many of us have gone through that? I know I have. The number two thing is that ketogenic diets, anything that puts your body in ketosis, I'm going to go there, Wonder Slim, MetaFast, ketogenic eating, will produce greater fat loss. And the reason is, one of the reasons is, when you eat a lot of sugar and processed foods and high carbs, our body holds on to sodium. We bloat. Our kidneys don't work as effectively. And I don't know how many of you notice this, but when you're eating kind of crappy, you really don't urinate all that much unless you're taking in a ton of water, which really you're only supposed to drink when you're thirsty. This whole like, I'm drinking a gallon of water, half our body weight in water. Honestly, guys, I don't believe in it. You drink when you're thirsty. We have hormones in our body that tell our brain when we're thirsty. It's the whole, oh my gosh, I don't even want to go there. There's a whole bunch of hormones. Maybe I'll make a video on that one day because it's interesting. But anyway, when you eat low carb and not a lot of sugar and processed foods, our kidneys work so much more effectively. They take the sodium out of our body and we're flushing. We're flushing. And when that happens, we lose weight because we're losing the bloat. The extra bloat we don't need. You know, the more bloat you have, the more fluids you have within your body, guess what that does? Jacks up your blood pressure. So that's why some people that have high blood pressure are told to eat a low sodium diet. But the people that are on these low sodium diets, they're eating the sugars and the breads and the carbs, and they're retaining it anyway. If you get rid of that stuff, you can actually enjoy a little bit of sodium in your food, and you don't have to worry about it because your body won't hold on to it. The third thing is that on a keto diet, you will lose more fat loss, and it's coming around the abdomen. And I don't mean subcutaneous fat, the fat that's under our skin. We have two kinds. Subcutaneous fat, under the skin, which is good for us. We need that. We don't need the visceral fat. Visceral fat, if you look at let's say a CAT scan, you will see the organs inside your body covered, smushed by fat cells. Have you ever walked into an elevator that was really crowded, and you're like, oh my God? That is what happens to our organs when we have too much belly fat, the visceral fat, the deep fat. It smothers the organs. Now, how the heck, if you're smothered like that, how are you going to work efficiently? You don't. And when you're on low carb, high fat diet plans, our body sheds that visceral fat. You can have it tested before and have it tested a year later, and you will be astounded. The reports show it. It's data, whatever. It doesn't lie. Data doesn't lie. These are tests that have been done over 50 years in the making. And where our fat is stored affects our health. So if you have a good percentage of fat underneath the skin, you're fine. It's protecting your bones, your organs. If you have the deep-rooted visceral fat, that is no good and thus opens you up to so many problems. And I will get into that in this video. In fact, I'm going to get into it now. It drives inflammation, rheumatoid arthritis. It drives headaches. It drives, and it can drive, a host of metabolic dysfunction. Basically, insulin resistance, and that would be the root cause of metabolic dysfunction. And I'll get into that as well. But in a nutshell, keto basically effectively reduces the visceral fat. Number 4, triglycerides. You guys know what that is. That's the fat molecules floating around inside our bloodstream. On this way of life, it will definitely decrease the triglycerides. The main reason that triglycerides are usually high in people isn't because they're eating too much fat. It's because they're eating too much sugar. Basically, in the way of fructose. You guys go to the supermarket. Any single item you purchase off the shelf that's processed in a box and a container will pretty much have some kind of sugar in it. Fructose syrup, corn syrup, sugar. I mean, there's so many different kinds. Sucralose, whatnot. It's very hard to find packaged foods without that in it. But you can, but it's not easy. So you do have to become a label reader, guys. You just have to. Unless you're not going to eat anything from the supermarket other than good proteins, animal fats, good oils, things like that. Okay. When you go to the doctor and you get your cholesterol checked, we have two kinds of cholesterol that we always look at. The good cholesterol, which is called HDL, and the bad cholesterol, LDL. HDL stands for high density lipoprotein. Did you hear me say it? Lipoprotein. The HDL cholesterol isn't a true cholesterol. It's pretty much a lipoprotein. And that is going back to an older video of mine where I talked about how we have taxi cabs inside our body that transport different things. A lipoprotein is the taxi cab within our body. So you're in New York City and you need to get somewhere really quick and you jump into a cab and the cab drives you to your destination and it drops you off. Well, guess what? That's what HDL does and that's what LDL does. The difference is the good cholesterol takes the good lipoprotein, I'm going to call it good cholesterol, basically takes the cholesterol away from the body and it shunts it over to the liver where it's either used as energy or we excrete it. The bad cholesterol, the low density lipoprotein, taxi cabs all that cholesterol to the body, into the arteries, into that organ, and we don't want that. So the best way to get a good HDL is to eat high fat. Who knew? Stop eating the sugar. I'm waiting for the plane to go by. Sorry, guys. And on keto diet, you will almost always immediately have a really good HDL. If you're going to start this plan and you haven't, go get a basic lab test done where you see all of your different counts. Okay? I want you to then, 3 months later, go back and have a blood test, and your numbers will be shockingly different. Number 6. It will drastically decrease, or if not eliminate, type 2 diabetes. Have you ever seen somebody that eats poorly and they're gaining weight, and as they get older, all of a sudden now they're pre-diabetic? Pre-diabetic, what does that mean? That means the insulin in your body is becoming blind. If you can't see anything, right, it's difficult if you're blind. You have to learn to use other senses, and it's a process. I mean, unless you've been, full of sight your whole life, and you can navigate in your house, the minute you lose your sight, your world changes. Our bodies, with the phrase insulin resistance, is pretty much our body's way of saying it's blind. And what I mean by that is this. When you eat carbs, they're broken down into simple sugars. And when the simple sugars enter our bloodstream, our body produces a hormone called insulin. The insulin basically says to the sugar that's floating around in our body, you're not supposed to be floating around in our body. You're supposed to get used and pushed into our cells for energy. And sometimes when you have years of poor eating, that blood sugar, it just floats around. And the insulin either is not secreted the way it should be, or it's secreted but it doesn't know what to do with it. And that is where we become resistant to our insulin. When we become resistant to insulin, guess what? You got diabetes. If your insulin isn't working, you need to give yourself a shot of insulin. And even then, sometimes it doesn't work. That's why if you're a diabetic, born with type 1 diabetes, it's a lifelong thing. Don't ever become type 2 diabetic, guys. It's so easy to fix. Eat well, stop with the sugar, stop with the crap. You won't have to worry about it. Let me see what else I have written down as far as that goes. I think I pretty much explained that. Diabetes affects 300 million people worldwide. The simple solution to cure it is to cut your carbs, and it will reduce your need for the insulin. If you don't have a lot of sugar floating around in your blood, you don't need the insulin, right? You don't become diabetic. Studies have shown in these journals that I've read that over 95% of all type 2 diabetics either decrease or eliminate the use of glucose-lowering medications within 6 months. So there you have it, guys. 6 months, you're done. You don't have to prick your finger anymore. You don't need to take your medication. That's worth it in gold, I think. Keto, number 7, the tip is that it lowers blood pressure. I kind of went over that earlier when I was talking about sodium and water. The more fluid you have inside your body, the higher your blood pressure. The narrower your arteries are, the higher your blood pressure. So if you have narrowing of the arteries, maybe you can't do too much with that. You can with your diet, but if you get your kidneys to function properly and excrete what we need, excrete the sugar, get rid of it all, and we're not taking it in anymore, our blood pressure will be lower. It's just the way it is. You don't get bloat. I used to wake up with my fingers swollen, under my eyes puffy, and I was always tired and things like that. I don't wake up bloated. My rings are nice and loose, even in the morning, because I'm not holding on to the water. because I'm not having the sugar. Sugar, it has sodium, and sodium attracts water, and we hold on to it. So when you're on a diet of low calories and low fat, and you're eating so many processed things, 100-calorie packs, they're crap, guys. It's 100 calories of sugar. Don't eat that stuff. You won't retain water, and you'll feel a whole heck of a lot better, and your blood pressure will come down. Number 8, the most effective treatment against metabolic syndrome. Okay, metabolic syndrome is pretty much a collection of symptoms. I'm going to read some of the symptoms to you. There's 5 main ones that I've written down, and here they go. Number 1 is abdominal obesity, the visceral fat. We talked about that before. Number 2, elevated blood pressure. Number 3, elevated blood sugar levels. Number 4, elevated triglycerides. And number 5, low HDL, the good taxi cab. They're a collection of symptoms, and pretty much anybody that has metabolic syndrome, you can't lose weight, you're on a low-calorie diet, you lose a few pounds, you gain a few, you give up, whatever. That's metabolic syndrome, and I guarantee any one of us that have gone down that path have a little bit of a belly. Our blood pressure might be good, but it might be borderline high. Maybe or maybe not, your blood sugar levels are okay. I don't know. Triglycerides are always a little bit elevated, and HDL might not be perfect. If you're 20 years old, guaranteed, your numbers are probably pretty good. Get up to 30 or higher, you're in a metabolic syndrome if you're eating low calorie and low fat. Guaranteed. Number 9, therapeutic for several brain disorders. Did you guys know that keto can pretty much halt or pretty much prevent, if you never started, a host of brain disorders? And I have 5 of them written down. Number 1, the brain becomes effective at burning ketones. Before supermarkets, before the Industrial Revolution, there was no processed crap. Man, women, children had to eat vegetables and berries, and they had to hunt for their food, and there was no bread or whole wheat pasta or everything, the little sandwich thins that everybody thinks are good for you. There was none of that, guys. So our bodies were designed to live and use ketones as fuel. To get into ketosis, that's all you have to do. Simple. Lower your carbs to 20 or less per day. And stay away from sugar. That's it. It's also a diet that's used to treat epilepsy. For kids children who are epileptic, sorry, my battery's dying, and they're on medication, sometimes the meds don't work, and it has scientifically been proven that if they eat a low carb, high fat diet, their epilepsy goes away, and they don't need their meds. What? Why? Because in the brain is where the electrical stimulations go zzz, 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 and causing seizures. And our brain is made of fat. And if you eat high fat and no sugar, your brain thrives. And it somehow reduces the electrical misfiring that causes epilepsy. Studies show it. Look it up. It's amazing. It also is used to treat Alzheimer's. My grandmother died of Alzheimer's. And I can tell you my grandmother was the queen of healthy eating, but she ate breads and pastas and potatoes. And, she was the generation that cooked meat and potatoes. There was always a starch with our meals at Grandma's house. Pasta, everything. So what they have found is that patients, families, whatnot, who have a history of Alzheimer's, who have a predisposition to Alzheimer's, if they eat a diet like this, like me, that I'm on, it will pretty much, I would safe to say it's in the 80% category that you won't even develop it. If you have a slight dementia and you're put on this type of diet, it drastically increases your cognitive abilities. I've watched videos in the hospital. We have a library, and they have videos of tests and things that they've done where they show. I've seen it. It's amazing. It also treats Parkinson's disease and actually halts cancer cells. Now, you guys know I work a lot with oncology. I've had long talks with the oncology doctors. They all say it. Every patient that they have that's got some type of cancer, they put on a low-carb, high-fat diet. Watch their cancer cells halt. And why I say this, I'm not saying that you're going to be cured. Disclaimer, I'm not a doctor. I've only done research, and I'm telling you what I have found. I'm not telling you what to do. If you have cancer and, you know, you're going to blame me for doing this and it didn't work, please don't. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying the stuff I've read. They have done studies on patients. They've shown them on video under a microscope cancer cells, and cancer cells thrive on sugar. They thrive on it. We all do, right? When you eat something sugary, you're like, yeah, I'm in a good mood. When you're PMSing, I want sugar. Guess what? Cancer loves it too. And the patients that have cancer, glioblastoma, astrocytoma, all kinds of different cancers, they get put on this diet, and you will watch under a microscope, not everybody, but most, their cancer cells are like, there's no sugar to eat. I'm not multiplying. It's crazy. I had to watch this stuff, I'm not even exaggerating, at least 10, 15 times to absorb that. I couldn't even believe it. Somebody's texting me. What is the name of the coconut oil you use? Oh, that's my dad. Dad, I'll call you back in just a minute. Halting cancer cells. Yeah. Please, I want you to look this up, guys, because I know most of you watching this video are going to be like, what is she saying? It's so easy to say, but when you watch these videos and you hear patients say, yeah, guess what? I was diagnosed with a horrible cancer. I had like 5 months to live, and I drastically cut my carbs and ate high fat. These people are still alive. So I want you to research this, because to me, that's the most profound thing. I am always trying to look for ways and research things that would help cancer, because I know there's a cure for it. And I mean, if we're going to starve the cells, they can't multiply and grow, right? Okay. Number 10 would be the awesome state of being. Guys, here's the deal. Before I started this plan, I was tired. I had knee pain from Zumba from last year. I had, I'm not going to say a low sex drive. Oh my God, this is terrible. I always had a pretty good sex drive. I was like too tired sometimes. I'm going to admit it, too tired. Was it working all day and having a family? Maybe. But I have to say this. Since I've started this diet, ready? I wrote this stuff down so I don't forget. I have like literally no fatigue. I wake up with energy. I have energy all day. Another plane. I have energy at night. I'm able to complete my tasks. I sit down and I feel like, oh, I need to relax, but I'm talking the fatigue. Don't have it anymore. The clarity that I have is amazing. I feel so clear. I feel alert and wide awake. Sometimes I didn't. I would always need a cup of coffee in the middle of the day to get me through. I don't need it. I enjoy it. I'll have some, but I'm really doing a lot of decaf, and it's amazing. I feel like I'm on like a sugar buzz. I just have energy out the wazoo. A sense of peace. I have come to a place where I feel good, my body feels good, my skin is nice, my hair, everything. My relationship with my husband was always amazing, but for some reason it's like on another level. I don't know. Like I'm always in a good mood. I never like argue, or I just whatever. Like it's bizarre, it's strange. The sex drive, like I said, has always been there, but guys, she's up. Like I'm talking like, oh my gosh, I could do this every day. I could go to work all day, every day, come home, be with my husband, and be content. And guess what? I don't roll over and go to sleep afterwards like I used to. I have energy. It is astounding. And the really weird thing about it is, guess what? I do go to sleep at a decent hour, and I sleep. You guys know on my Facebook page, you've seen it a million times. Up in the middle of the night, can't sleep, woe is me. I'm sleeping through the night, and I'm feeling refreshed when I wake up. Lastly, the pain. The pain of my bad knee, the injury, is gone. I'm doing squats, I'm doing presses. Can you believe it? I mean, I could sometimes walk down a flight of stairs, walk up a flight of stairs, and have knee pain. It's gone. The headaches that I used to get are definitely decreased. I don't know if that's because I did away with Splenda and went to stevia, but I know the inflammation within my body is not there anymore. So better on the joints, better on the body, everything. So guys, that's pretty much my video. I mean, if you need some more reasons why to do the keto diet, keto way of life, ketogenic way of eating, let me know. But I think the 10 I gave you are so profound. There's, you know, mind, body, and soul all included in this video. And I highly, highly encourage you guys to research, because you shouldn't go in anything blind. I really don't like Google for researching, because anybody can write an article on Google. You got to go look in the medical journals. You can have access to them. Just look under medical journals, ketogenic diet, and it'll pull up articles. Those are the things you want to read. And I encourage you to do it. And I have to tell you, 45 years old, I really have never felt better. I mean, in my 20s, yeah, but I mean, at this stage in the game, I feel so good, so at peace, so one with my body, and that's pretty much all I have to say. So guys, do it, try it, but you have to be religious with it. You can't say 2 weeks on it, it's not working. Forget it. It's a lifestyle. Forget the whole diet. You're going to be on this for life if you want to be healthy. Anti-aging. I mean, my gray hairs that I tried to cover with this blonde, they're not really coming in much anymore. I don't know what that's about. I'm actually researching that, because it seems like the grays have halted. Weird, right? What else? I don't know. I'm just in love with this way of life. I wish I would have found this 20 years ago and stuck with it. But yeah, that's my video for today. So I hope you enjoyed it. I'm at 26 minutes, way too long. I hope I can put this out there for you. And if you have any questions or you find research, tag me in it. Let me know about it. I'd love to hear what you find. And I am working on some studies, and they will be put out in a journal probably in about a year from now. So I'll keep you updated on all of that. But in the meantime, guys, stay away from the sugar. It is the world's deadliest thing. I will say, worse than getting struck by lightning, worse than getting bit by a poisonous snake. Sugar should be your enemy. We don't need it. None. Okay? Have a great day, guys. Talk to you soon. Bye.